Is suicide really painless? It certainly brings on many changes. And I can take or leave it if I please. Pretty sure some of you recognize what song I'm coining. If you don't, it is the theme song from MASH. I had trouble thinking about how to address this while maintaining intellectual honesty. But I think I've got the right headspace going today. Very soon I will be coming up on the anniversary of my nephew's suicide. End of this month, to be exact. He was 15 years old. I have a problem with that because A, he hadn't even lived his life, and he decided to put it to an end. And the other reason I have a problem with this, and this is from my personal beliefs, is that we are hardwired with an urge to survive. It's survival instinct. It is something that we don't have to be taught. We naturally are inclined to live. We seek for ways to prolong our existence naturally. When somebody gets to the point to where they're ready to commit suicide, it is because there is something wrong with their system. And this could be ranging from mental to physical. Physical, a person in a great deal of pain constantly, I can imagine, would find suicide to be very optional, and I couldn't condemn it. Mentally, however, this is a dysfunction in the brain. Therefore, the person is not thinking clearly and is not able to make an informed decision because they have some psychological issue with living. One thing that I cannot argue with, and it's that most religions actually go against suicide. And for what it's worth, I thank them for that. Whether their reasons are justified or not, and even though they can take it overboard, such as prolonging the life of somebody who is in the process of dying, I'm completely against that. It's time for them to go whenever it's time for them to go. The body cannot keep going on, and for you to prolong it is just cruel. But then, as far as the mentality of wanting to live, they may have us beat. Statistically speaking, suicide is more prominent among people who do not have a faith, or do not have a faith that denies suicide. And I'm looking at you, Islam. It's not even all Islamists either. It's the distorted version of Islam that says that martyrdom is some great noble cause. Cowards. Or are they cowards? I don't know. It's all a matter of opinion at that point. Point is, suicide is common amongst atheists. More common, not common. More common amongst atheists than it is among the religious, for the most part. The reason for this is we believe in personal choice. If you want to do something with your life, with your body, it's entirely up to you, and we generally don't stand in the way. But I have a problem with that not standing in the way. People that have mental issues, they're not thinking clearly. They're not of their right mind. Therefore, it is inappropriate to allow them to be in charge of their life, in my opinion, until the point they can actually get to a better state of mind. So this is a dysfunction in the head if it's not a part of the body. I imagine some notations of an atheist committing suicide come with a story of somebody that was religious and failed. And in discovering that their faith has abandoned them, they then take on something similar to what I took on. See, when I had my faith completely broken, it didn't break right away. I was a soft atheist for a while, and then the thought of there being no future past my own life, it really bothered me because I lived and grew up believing I was an immortal of some sort. So having my faith abandon me through not being special, not being important, not being smiled upon by God. That broke my heart. And from there I went into full hedonism, which, to be honest, I'm still a bit of a hedonist. But when you lose yourself to reality, you begin struggling to find any pleasure whatsoever. And when that fails, you start thinking about how it's time to go. So I contend that a number of atheist suicides are a result of coming from faith. While in faith, though it's not scripturally noted, it is commonly accepted, widely accepted, that you are the temple of God and you must preserve your temple. Therefore, suicide is out. There's actually no statement specifically saying suicide is out. But it is widely advertised as a sin. Now, and you want to take that to the congregations trying to preserve funding, or the person is actually genuinely concerned for their welfare or the outcome of their soul. Either answer could be correct. And it's probably more of the moralistic one because most people have better morals than their faith dictates. They have better morals than their scriptures allow them to have. That's most people. Not all of them, but most of them. So, what about suicide? Is it painless? For you, it is. For everyone around you, it is quite the opposite. You have to think about all these bonds and connections that you've made. And even though you have the mindset to believe that you are worthless or you are a failure or whatever it is that is triggering this, there are people that are still connected. And when you put an end to yourself, you are attacking the mental welfare of those people. It is statistically true that when somebody commits suicide, it ups the chances of the people that they're close to committing suicide. That is actually a statistical fact. That's the type of damage that suicide does. It doesn't hurt the person, it hurts the people around them. So, and I get back to the defiance of the need to survive. We are supposed to survive. That is what our programming has designed us for. That's why we exist. We are life brought into this world, and therefore trying to leave the world is against the program. And on top of that, I submit that if we're all going to die eventually, why are we helping it? Why try to help along something that's inevitable? It's wasted effort. You could be spending that effort trying to get around whatever it is that's bothering you. Even if it means reinventing yourself or completely relocating your entire life to some place where you can become better. It's really pointless to kill yourself in that regard. If you're not in some horrible, agonizing pain constantly, then suicide is really the most useless thing you could do. And this, while you're feeling useless, yes, this is the most useless act you can commit to. If your uselessness is a concern, then I would say to you that your efforts would be better spent figuring out how to be useful. And not for other people, but for yourself. Because if you live for other people, you're going to be let down, constantly let down. Because everybody looks out for themselves. Everybody thinks of themselves first. Everybody is selfish by nature. It's not bad. It's just whenever that selfishness is used as a weapon, then it becomes a problem. Otherwise, we're all selfish. Even when we do good deeds, we're selfish. We're committing to our ethics and our principles and providing evidential proof of that. When you give or when you help someone out, you are rewarding yourself with having done a good job. Selfish. So, is suicide selfish? Of course it is. Everything we do is selfish. Suicide is, however, a statement that something is terribly wrong with the system and it needs to be corrected. And if it's all in your head, it can be corrected. It can always be corrected if it's just in your head. It just requires new programming. It requires new information. It requires a new direction of thought, a new effort. Physically, I wish I could say that there's a way around it, but there is something to be respected about euthanasia, because a person that is physically in pain constantly does not deserve to live. They didn't do anything that terrible to have to live. Living is a punishment at that point. People that come close to the end of their life, their body's starting to shut down, they're hospitalized, forcing them to live. They didn't deserve that. They deserve to die. And I say that with the greatest sympathy and compassion. They deserve that. They deserve to be put at rest, to be put at ease, to no longer suffer. And that's what that is. But if you just think that you're worthless and that's why, you're no less worthless than any other person. Everybody is insignificantly significant. And we're all made out of the molten remains of an exploding star that has been scattered through the cosmos. We're all composed of these elements that we're going to eventually come to shape and eventually bring about our existence. And we will be the remains of what is to come in the future. Whether it be by our works or by our actual remains. Everything gets recycled. Everything gets repurposed. But while you're here, while you're occupying that space, if it's the thought that drives you towards wanting to kill yourself, be a little more selfish and don't. Be a little more selfish and don't kill yourself, because whenever you do that, you're being thoughtlessly selfish. You're going to hurt a lot of people around you too. And even if you're not going to hurt a lot of people, I then pose the statement that if you truly are not loved by anyone, if you are truly alone in this world, then why will you let the world have that much value over your life? Why let the world control whether or not you go on? The world didn't earn it at that point. You deserve to live as long as you can. Fuck the world. It's all about you. Live it out. Have fun with it. And do whatever you can for yourself. Try not to hurt other people. I think that's about all I have to say about this. What are your thoughts on suicide? How do you feel about it? How do you feel about any events that may have altered your life, as in other people having committed suicide or having nearly committed suicide yourself? What are your thoughts? This is Godless Voice signing off.